Hi, I'm here with Pete Caliendo that I can only describe as the world's coach.
Yeah, thanks.
I think there's no other way to do it.
Thank you.
How many countries?
I've been probably over 30 countries.
30 countries.
Yep.
Now I know Australia, I think South Africa. I know
Japan, all over Europe, all over Latin America, Central America.
One of the things you said in all of that is the one country you don't do a lot of stuff in, and this is where a lot of these people are listening to, is the U.S.
Yeah, I don't do as much. I do some things in the U.S., but I get a chance to go all over the world. I'm asked to go probably more all over the world, probably a little bit more competition in the U.S. And in the U.S. sometimes, the strength of coaches' development is, they're not looking as much for that.
Right.
So, possibly, but the other countries are more, a little bit more hungry.
Sure.
Maybe they feel that they're, the U.S. coaches are a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I want to ask you some other questions. Sure. We're going to show some of the stuff that you're doing tonight, and then we'll just sort of mix it in, and that'll be the story.
Forward, turn sideways, and I want to try to get my elbows up even with the shoulders.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Go. Okay, now, the guy's catching it. Emphasize this. As soon as you catch it, show me the ball. Now, why would you do this?
One of the things I've seen you do a lot is you focus not on the senior coaches, not on the college and high school, but you really talk a lot about the volunteer coach. Is this the same in the States as it is anywhere else in the world, or do you find that there's a real challenge?
No, it's identical. The volunteer coach is the same all over the world.
Yeah.
They have the same struggles, lack of equipment, possibly some lack of knowledge, not enough time to practice, and it's very difficult to keep the kids active and keep them in the game when you're in that situation.
Because I notice when you're working with those coaches, the inexperienced coaches, you're not just talking to them, you're not just lecturing them on what to do, but you've got them out there throwing balls around, doing stuff.
Yeah, because you want them to realize, first of all, you want them to feel what it's like to do a particular drill, to teach it, and also kids are visual, so you want them to be able to see it. So if a coach shows you how to be in a position, you better be in that right position, because the kid's visualizing that as he looks at it.
Now a lot of the volunteer coaches, this is a different direction, but this is something pretty. A lot of volunteer coaches, truthfully, are not necessarily the guys with the baseball skills. They're the guys that are willing to show up and spend some time.
Absolutely. And I wasn't a great player. I was just an average, maybe below average player.
Okay.
But most of them played a little bit, so they've got a decent idea of some of the skills, but they have to make sure they're teaching it correctly, especially a skill like throwing that can be dangerous in the long run. If they're teaching it incorrectly, that could damage a youngster, in the future.
One of the things your company, when you started, was, and I know you talk a lot about one of the challenges in baseball is it's a technical, complicated sport. It's hard to teach.
Yeah.
So when you're working, it's not just about protecting the arm and that. There's challenges with hitting. There's challenges with fielding. There's challenges everywhere. It's not that easy a sport. It's not as simple as kicking a soccer ball.
Absolutely.
And yet you call your company Baseball Made Easy.
Yeah.
So where and how do you get it that easy for just anyone to come and be?
Well, I think the skills are not easy to teach as individually they are, but as a group it becomes a little bit more difficult now because you got 12 kids and now you might be by yourself or the second coach. So what we're trying to do is make it simple in how you organize your practice. If the coaches understand how to organize the practice, all the different stations, how many seconds the kids are on every station, how many swings, how many throws, how many ground balls, and now the kids are all moving, now it becomes a little bit more active like the other sports.
Because one of the problems with baseball in a game is
you're standing still. Absolutely. And predominantly you're standing still in practice also. So it's not just in a game. In a game, you're waiting for the pitcher to throw and everybody else is waiting. But in practice, it's because sometimes the coaches don't understand. They might have a coach pitching, one kid hitting, and everybody else just waiting. And they're waiting for the coach possibly to throw strikes and the youngsters to possibly hit the ball. And that gets boring after a while.
Yeah. So the idea is keep it moving, keep them entertained, keep them
absolutely,
and easy equals fun too.
Absolutely, and keep it where there's some incentive, there's games, there's a reward system. Maybe baseball cards you give them when they're doing some things good, hustling, paying attention. Right. There's a lot of things you can do. And it's important when you do the drills that there's games involved in the drill. So now it's a challenge to the youngster, and he's just not doing a drill. Because that's how you learn. You learn by having fun.
Yeah.
And if you're having fun, you're going to learn a little bit more. And if you're learning,
you take it too seriously.
It become better. If you take it too serious now, you're only working on a drill, and there's nothing else behind that drill. With a college kid, no problem. Pros, they understand it. It's a drill needs to be done.
Right.
With young kids, you got to have fun with them.
Ready? Go! Come on! Okay. One more. One more, that
My
way.
mom's me, man. My pants are dirty.
So, I want to talk a bit about one of the other things you talk to the coaches about, and that's about thinking outside the box or playing outside the box. What do you mean by that?
Well, traditionally we tend to teach how we were taught, what we read, how we did it. So all I'm asking them is, look, that's okay, but that's some knowledge. Now think outside the box as far as coming up with new innovative ways to make practices fun, to get kids to learn on their own. An example would be a kid gets to first base. Instead of telling them the outs, ask them the outs. Right. Something that doesn't happen traditionally at all. I mean, right. Pretty much everybody always tells them. Well, now, when a player knows the outs, there's no reason for him really to know the outs because you're telling them all the time as a coach. Absolutely. Yeah. So things like that, or how you break in a glove, don't.
Yeah, I remember that from.
And that goes back a long ways.
Yeah, a bazillion years ago.
But guys are still breaking the glove. They're putting two balls inside the glove and wrapping it and then closing it because that's how they were taught. And I was taught that way, and I taught it. And then I went to Japan, and I realized, you know what? They turn their glove inside out, and why? Because now you turn it back, and it gives you a wider open.
First thing you can do is take two baseballs, put them in there and wrap them. Yeah. Come on, even for a 10-year-old, just all we got to do is use a little common sense. What does that do? Well, sure. You know what they do? They call it briefcase glove. They turn it inside out. Okay, and that's what I do. I teach our kids. Yeah, and you ever do this? Grab a 10-year-old kid, grab his glove and do this. They look at you like you're out of another Mars. Is that yours? You might catch a ground ball now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not sure about you.
After you had said that last night, I actually saw a couple of parents.
Yeah,
and I walked over to them and I said, if that's and I told them, they said, this is what Pete's talking about now, keeping that glove open. The other thing you talk about too, you use gadgets and tools in different ways. Traffic phones to me is a fun example of using a tee when you don't have tees.
Yeah, and when during practice, in order to have a fun, organized practice, you've got to have some equipment. Bat and ball is not enough. So some batting tees, stopwatch, the cones, orange cones, maybe you could use as batting tees, or you could also use them to positions on the field to work on base running. Kids run around the cones. You could use them for your warm-ups. So you need some type of equipment. All I'm asking the coaches, look, I know you possibly can't spend the money on it, but figure out a way to get it, or do it, or make it, or figure out another option how to do that. And because the equipment's going to make you a better coach, also. So it's going to help you run a funner practice.
Why did I start baseballs on one side? Why did I just say go?
Safety, or need to watch
one line at a time.
Right?
Your safety, you know where to stand. And two, and you could watch the whole row. And I've only got 7 guys. I see instantly. You can see a kid if he's like this, if he's like this. You'll see him right away. It's like a bad picture, right? Something's wrong in that picture. Boom, got it. Now you could say to everybody, look at your elbows, make sure they're down. If you've been picking on somebody too much, in other words, that person's doing a lot of things wrong, and you've said too much to them, don't continue that. Just let everybody look at their elbows. Say, everybody, look at your elbows. Make sure they're down. Now, everybody's going to look at him. He's going to realize his elbows are up. Contact, palm up, palm down. Finish. Freeze. The only problem is they go like this and then swing. And they're pretty smart. What they're doing is measuring the ball. So the same concept of starting at the end, we're going to start at contact off the tee. Start at contact off the tee and say, okay, go. Raise up. That way, when he does get here, he'll know what. It does come to here no matter what you do. This comes here, swing. Okay? Now, one of the drills that I know you don't have a lot of time, that's just for you to know, that let you understand if you have a kid that does that, how am I going to correct that? Okay? Now, you don't have many guys, so much time, so now you're going to toss me the ball. Here's one drill you can work with your hitters. Right. We just did it today with the girls. Throw overhand. And throw overhand. I can hit a little bit. Hitting position. You just go now. Throwing position. Don't even move your feet. I just rotate and throw. Throw. Good. Hitting position. Swing. Fielding position. Good. Throwing position. Hitting position. Swing. Fielding position. Throw position. Throw. Fielding position. Throw. Oh, what do you do now? Hold up.
Pete, I appreciate this. I don't see you often enough. You're too busy traveling the world. I think that you said that you're probably away, at least a week.
Probably a week every month, yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
Oh, we have a lot of fun at it.
I don't know how you hope so, but for the rest of us, I'm absolutely glad to do it.
Thank you. And I read your articles every time I get emails. I read them all.
That's how we stay together.
No, it's the only way we know how, right?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.